Our bills are all seemingly going up, but could the artificial intelligence boom actually be driving up your electric bill? And I mean whether or not you actually ask a question of ChatGPT or use ChatGPT.
Exactly. You use AI or not, this impacts you. Data centers powering AI tools are consuming massive amounts of energy, and utilities are passing the costs of producing that power onto everyday consumers.
All right, let's get some knowledge. Joining us now, Ben Hertz-Shargel, head of Grid Edge Research at Wood Mackenzie, who has been tracking all of this. Big tech's AI ambitions, reshaping America's power grid and our monthly bills. Thanks for coming in. Thank you so much. I want to ask ChatGPT, how do we save money on this?
Good question.
Right? How much are these AI data centers actually driving up what we pay for power, electricity, in terms of our monthly bills and everything?
Yeah, it's a great question. And so we are unfortunately in uncharted territories here. In the first half of the year, utility bills were raised $29 billion across the U.S., which is more than twice the increase the first half of last year. I think maybe this audience can take comfort in that the Northeast was less impacted than some other regions of the country, particularly the West and the South. But yeah, this is something that I would say, so AI is only becoming part of the picture. A lot of these costs are coming from utilities replacing aging components of our grid. And bulking it up to deal with the effects of climate change, which are driving extreme weather.
So I think, improvements in the power grid are something that everybody wants. But from what I've been reading about this, and I'm so excited to have you here, Ben, to talk about it, because the big question is, why can't companies like Amazon and Google pay for their own power? Why did we give them these deals? Because we could have a great grid. They could pay for the power if they're building the plants, but communities and states and counties and cities gave them breaks and deals, and now the cost is being pushed onto the consumer. So how does this work for us now?
Yeah, it's very tricky. So in certain respects, these companies do pay for some of their infrastructure. All the electrical stuff at the facility and how they connect is paid for by that company up front. The tricky stuff are the power plants and the big transmission lines that are elsewhere. That are technically used by all customers, and under our regulation today is the responsibility of everybody. But utilities have been trying to reform this by developing special rate plans just for these big consumers like data centers. And so we actually did a big report on this in May. What we found is that while these new rate plans do a better job of charging data centers closer to their true cost and having them kind of commit to longer, they do not require them to stick around for anywhere near the lifetime of the infrastructure that's being built. And the prices that they're charging are actually not sufficient to build a new power plant, which means that these shortfalls will ultimately be paid by other customers.
I mean, this is fascinating. And I'm still wondering how, because, there was a time when they were saying, don't even write please when you're asking AI, certain instructions on what to do. And I don't think people understand what you're writing to AI is impacting the power grid. Can you just explain really quickly how it's doing that?
It's doing that. So when you ask ChatGPT a question, it takes about 10 times as much power to answer, because 1,000 computers are responding to you, not just one computer when you ask, let's say, a Google query. If you generate an image, it's 100 times more than that. And forget about video and future stuff. It's enormously computationally intensive. It requires a ton of power. And there is a land grab happening because companies feel they need to be the ones to have this capability, which will let them profit from AI in the future.
Is there any way to get away from this? Some states are doing better than others in terms of saying, no, this isn't right. It's not fair. Not everybody's using this. And, are there some states doing a better job at making it less expensive for people who live there?
Yeah, there are. So we found in our research that utilities in Florida and Georgia have some of the strictest terms in these new rates to make sure data centers pay all of their cost. There is still what's called the stranded asset risk, which is what happens if the company is unable to pay and just breaches contract. So you still have that. So other states like Nevada, Idaho, and Oregon are pursuing what are called clean transition tariffs. So the idea here is a third-party company can come in, build a power plant for the data center directly. The utility and their kind of customers are arm's length from this, so there's no risk. And then the third piece of this, which to me is the killer app, is for utilities to use what are called virtual power plants. So this is aggregations of homeowners and business owners who are paid by the utility to reduce their consumption when the grid needs it, which allows the utility to avoid some of the most expensive grid investments, and people get paid while making the grid smarter and
It feels complicated, but I do
It
feel like
does.
that people are now trying to mitigate the expense.
I think they are. And if we could talk to our viewers really quickly, like the last question is, how can we take back our power as the consumer? How
Yeah.
do we stop this from spiraling out of control?
What I would say the best thing to do is join these utility programs. They're all, no matter where you live, if you're a homeowner, a business owner, or involved in a business, you can join these programs. You will be paid to do your part, make the grid smarter. Utilities will invest less. You will get paid to offset some of the bill increases that are likely to come down the pike. And encourage your policymaker in your state to have utilities incorporate these virtual power plants in their planning.
Ben, it's a difficult situation, or it wouldn't be so confusing. So thank you so much for sharing a little bit of light onto a topic
Yeah.
that most of us didn't even know was happening.
Super helpful.
Very welcome. Thank you.